Hello and welcome back to Jenna Gets Creative. Today we are testing out X-PressIt blending card while I complete a few different challenges and prompts for Inktober with the same piece. So this small pack of sample-sized X-PressIt blending card came with my order of the official October Copic Colors for North America, and I decided it would be a cool thing here to review it, to compare it to what I normally use alcohol markers for, and see what I think of it. So here I'm just going and testing X-PressIt versus cardstock. I do also generally use marker paper, which is really thin paper that's coated on one side, but lately I've been using the cardstock more. So here I am testing Prismacolor cold erase pencils. I found that it was really hard to feel like I was getting any pigment down on the X-PressIt card with the cold erase pencils, particularly the blue, but it also seemed to erase better than it does on the cardstock. And I do find generally the same thing on marker paper. So it does definitely feel like marker paper in that way. It's quite smooth, and it's definitely built for wet medias, for ink. It also did pretty well there with a regular pencil. Again, it erased better than the cardstock did. Using a Copic multi-liner, I would say they performed about the same, but it felt smoother going on to the X-PressIt blending card. Now, testing the actual Copic marker on these two papers, you definitely get a smoother first coat on the X-PressIt blending card than the cardstock. Much less streaking, much less, patchy buildup, as you're seeing there in the second layer. But I can see white speckles in the X-PressIt blending card, which it is not supposed to do, and which I don't ever see happening on proper marker paper. So here we're going to go ahead and actually draw a full piece on this little sheet of X-PressIt blending card. This piece, as I said, fulfills a few prompts for Inktober. For the Drawn to Curries list I've been doing, this is hair. This is also the Copic Colors completion for October, as I mentioned. The October colors for this month were BV29 Slate, B99 Agate, and E71 Champagne. And in addition to these things, this was also the round 3 prompt completion for the ACDA Amino October contest, and that prompt was witches. So I posed my female anatomy Figma art figure sitting cross-legged with the top half of a Kinder Surprise capsule as a cauldron, and a little flashlight prop, because those things mostly just came with the weapons, and that was the closest thing I could find to approximate the handle of a spoon. And she's stirring up some sort of potion in her lap. I guess I could have also figured out which day on the official Inktober list was potions. Or I think the 31 witches list had a potions witch. I don't know. There was a potions somewhere. I guess I could have figured out which day that was and claimed it was that too, but I didn't. I considered lining this piece with a purple or a pink or something to kind of bring out these colors that were selected for Copic Colors, but ultimately I decided to just go with black and let the colors steal the show. As I mentioned, this is my very first time using X-PressIt blending card. I normally use either marker paper or basic cardstock. The marker paper I use is Transotype. I have ordered it both as Transotype and as Copic marker paper. From both options, it comes in, the pad that comes in is labeled Transotype, but it looks exactly like the pads that are labeled Copic. It just has Transotype where the other pads have Copic, so I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. And it really does feel like it's the same coating as the blending card. I think the X-PressIt blending card is basically just marker paper coating on thicker, heavier paper. The cardstock I normally use is just basic white 110 pound cardstock from the scrapbooking section at Michael's. It's really nothing special. I can't even tell you the brand name off the top of my head. And I do like that better when I'm going to be doing a lot of heavy work, because marker paper is so thin and delicate, it's really easy to accidentally put huge creases in it. But when you go to use other regular papers, then it's not heavy enough to handle markers, it bleeds through and all that. So I go for the cardstock because it's thick enough that it might bleed to the other side of the paper, but it's not going to bleed through onto whatever you have under that paper. It's also pretty smooth and not overly thirsty, so you're not going to get a whole lot of paper texture interference like you would on, say, sketchpad paper or watercolor paper. At first I thought I wasn't actually all that impressed with the X-PressIt blending card, and it is definitely a more expensive paper than both the thin marker paper and the basic cardstock, just when you break down the price per number of sheets you're getting. But it's not as obsolete as I thought I would find it. I definitely would not be upset if I got this for Christmas. But I don't think I'm going to rush out and buy it just yet. I think I'm happy with what I have. If you have the money for this kind of paper, go for it. It's not a waste. But I don't think it's a necessity to work with alcohol markers, especially if you're just starting out. I said the the Curry's prompt was hair, so I had a lot of fun with this really crazy curly hair on the witch. It's covering most of her face. You can just see that typical long warty witch's nose. And I used the colorless blender to get a gradient in the hair, and I think that turned out really, really well. I've always wondered why people take the time to wait for chameleon markers to blend when you really can do tip to tip on a Copic marker and get a similar effect. If you can hear the cat meowing in the background, I'm sorry. She likes to run into my daughter's room and hide under the bed whenever I go in there, and I just have to wait for her to decide it's time to come out, and she has decided that. She is scratching at the door and meowing, and she's gonna have to wait. Just a little housekeeping while we watch this illustration take place. I will be listing my website, my Redbubble shop, and all of my social medias down below as always. I would really love it if you'd go check those things out. Follow me on social media. I love to see what you're up to. Share your art with me. If you would like to see your artwork in my end cards, I am going to start doing that sort of thing. Use the hashtag LookJennaYT anywhere on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, those places, and I will take that as your permission to show that piece in my end cards here on YouTube. I finished coloring the witch with the Copic markers, and I didn't really feel that I got enough fabric details in there, so I'm going in with my white Uniball Signo gel pen, and then coloring back over it with the slate color, just so it's not a stark white, it's a lighter slate purple. One thing I did find that I didn't like so much with the X-PressIt blending card is when I go over an accidental overflow spot with the colorless blender like you saw me doing there. It takes more to make that disappear than on marker paper. I would compare it to cardstock really in that respect, and I expected more from X-PressIt blending card considering it's made for Copics, and I've seen that demonstrated. But oh well. It's pretty good. It's superior to cardstock if you have the cash. And that's my first impression review. I hope you liked it. Please go ahead, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I try my best to reply, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.